Hey guys, welcome back to another commentary from a national champion. So as requested, I finally got a competition match where I won. This is the finals of the South Pacific Championships in the absolute division. So I obviously lost the last comp I went into, and so, and so I started training pretty hard for this one, and I was hoping to find another opponent that could really help push me to grow and all the rest of it, because I quite actually like losing in a way, because it means that I assess and I improve. And so I was requested to do a match where I won, and so I thought I would do that for you. So my opponent, we've got, sorry, just one second, I didn't sort myself out properly. We got me, obviously, and we've got my opponent, Professor Matthew. He's really quite good. I believe that this was his first competition at black belt, and so he stepped into the ring. We're saying thank you to the refs, because in black belt matches you have one ref on either side, for the finals, that is, and the primary ref in the middle, just in case it goes down to decision, and all the refs can decide together whether or not who wins. And so we were just saying thank you to the refs, and we're saying thank you to each other. I felt pretty confident going into this match. The last comp I was feeling a bit under the weather, and I definitely didn't prepare for it as much as I should. And funnily enough, actually, this guy triangled a black belt in the match previous that beat the guy that I lost to. And so, this is why A beats B, B beats C, therefore A should beat C, is not actually a good argument for deciding who's better. Simply because, I beat this guy beat the next guy beat the next guy, that guy beat me. So, who knows who's actually better between us. My opponent stepped in really nicely, and I watched the last match. He triangled someone inside 30 seconds, so I was definitely worried about his guard pull. But I felt pretty confident going into this match. And so we're here, we're grip fighting. I'm just trying to get the grips. For me personally, I need more practice in competition itself. So like oftentimes when you're in comp, you only do what you're really confident with, and I need more practice at going, it doesn't matter if I lose, I'm just going to go for something. And so instead of grabbing, I wanted to arm drag this arm here. And so instead of grabbing the sleeve, I grabbed the collar, but I did watch this guy jump guard and triangle someone, who then picked him up off the floor, above his head with one arm, and he still finished the triangle. It was really beautiful. And so I was a little bit worried about getting pulled into a De La Riva guard, which is actually where I keep losing in competition, mostly like we saw last time. And so we connected our heads together, and I was starting to push because I wanted to start looking to foot sweep on the other side, but I didn't get the opportunity because Professor Matthew over here was a little bit off balance, and so he pulled guard. Now, for me, I don't like being pulled forwards, so you squat immediately and this foot goes forwards, and you can see me readjust it a few times just to get settled. Now, with the improvements that I've been making, squatting low, and I was leaning backwards, but you can see how he's starting to encourage me forwards. So to this end, straight away, you can see how my bum's starting to go backwards and I'm starting to posture a bit tall. Because of this deadlift type of motion, you can see this time in my back, and my posture is actually much better than it was last time, and my head's not crunched forwards. So this allows me to stand up quite tall and put strain through this grip. And so I start deadlifting, and you can see how, I noticed actually something after the last time, is that I was almost holding myself to the other person, making it much harder for me to deadlift. So I'm holding on, but relaxing and not trying to pull him with me. I'm just trying to stand up tall. And so what ends up happening is that this is a lot of pressure, and eventually he has to stand up. But because I didn't go so far backwards, this front knee, is still bent, pushing forwards, which means that this type of attempt he has at a wrestle up, where his legs go around mine, and he starts trying to get up and into me, is very difficult, because I'm actually still relatively low, even though I got tall posture. And what this allowed is it just allowed me to go on like a knee on belly in the middle. just straight away. So we'll just watch that again. So I posture tall. He tries the wrestle up, and straight away he runs into a blocker on my knee. So it was the right idea, but like because of the posture that I had, it made it very, very difficult for my opponent to wrestle up like he were trying to do. And so like I spent like a lot of time just grinding out. Oh, I keep on losing from that position, that exact position. I keep on getting swept. I keep on losing from right here. How do I go about beating it? And so that's what I've been doing with my training. And I think it's been paying off quite nicely. He was trying to control the sleeve as well, and I was trying to control the knee. And so I'm not focusing on pulling my arm back, but rather using the work of my deadlift to pull their hands back. And you can see how he's kind of straining. He's straining. This grip is becoming weaker. This knee is still solid, and so it makes it very hard for what he's about to try and do. So he does really well. He threatens a deep half. For me personally, like looking at this now, my legs are a bit wonky. And I didn't feel that in danger at the time, but looking at this now, I probably was in more danger than I thought. However, I do have this hand here, which allows me to control the head, so it's going to be hard for him to start getting his head out the back to threaten my back. And you can see how I just drag him back forwards, and I've got very flexy hips, so I can open up this knee and sit heavy on him to help prevent him taking the back and sweeping me in deep half and all the rest of it. So I have a crossface, and I get hold of this inside knee, and I start controlling along his body. And it made the whole thing very, very difficult. And so now he's trying to push me back off the top, but you can't see from this angle, my left hand goes under his leg and is grabbing his collar, and the right hand is still holding onto his near side collar. So I'm just being heavy because I don't want to get tornado swept over the top. And I can feel that he's got a very, very good guard. And so you can see how he's trying to push me off the top to create some space, and I'm just cramping him. I'm really collapsing his style. And so this is a very difficult position for my opponent to play. But he kept calm, he kept composed, and he was actually setting up really nice threats because I wanted to start weaving this foot over the top to try and pass the guard. But in order to do that with how he was positioning his hands, I needed to move my right hand in to push, and he's very lethal with his triangles, and so I wasn't risking much because I didn't want to lose, obviously. And so instead I opted to come back down into a half guard and start flattening his hips away from me. And so I've got this knee jamming in up underneath his armpit. This foot should be flat on the floor. And I'm starting to turn my opponent away while I'm hunting for an underhook. And I believe that I have an underhook at this point on the other side. And so now the objective becomes a crossface, and my opponent did a really good job here of getting his right hand on the other side back into the fight, and I lost the underhook. And you can see, you maybe saw his fingers just briefly there. His fingers make an appearance, and he's starting to get an underhook himself. Right there. You can see the barest hint of them. And so I'm sitting here struggling for an underhook, but I have a pretty deep crossface, and I'm cramping his top shoulder with my knee. So this is largely okay for me because his hips aren't really in the fight. He's turned away, and he's not coming back into this position as long as I keep these objects pinched together. And so it's a very difficult thing for Professor Matthew to play. And so he has the right idea here, turning back into me, but I feel like he was a bit worried about me just either backstepping or driving straight through. So he doesn't really move. And at this spot, I'm pretty sure that I'm working on that underhook again. I can't quite get it, so I settle for just an old school crossface. And so I with this right hand, I grabbed deeper around into his armpit, pulled his head back around the corner, and drove the shoulder firstly onto his chest, then up and into his face, not just straight across his head. And then the stack happened. So from here, I wanted to stop his hips from turning into me, which is why I dropped the knee in, and I started controlling the top leg, straining the guard. So I stack up pretty heavy, and he does a good job of surviving under this weight. but like that's 115 kilos, 240 pounds going straight through his head, you know. So there's only so much you can do to stop someone that's much bigger than you are. I think I outweigh him by like 40, 50 pounds, you know, pushing down on that knee. And so he was doing the right thing here, and he was trying to alleviate the pressure. You can see with his left hand here, he was trying to stop me from blocking his knee. And if he can manage to push this one up and over the top and get this knee back underneath, he'll re-guard very effectively. I'll be back in a close guard. I'll start losing the position. So instead, I don't allow this because I'm really pinching my knee in, and you can see I'm quite heavily driving forwards, and I'm stacked pretty heavy, but I'm not stacked so far over the top that his shoulder starts coming off the ground. And so what ends up happening here is he's just sitting there underneath 115 kilos plus pull of crossface, and eventually the guard breaks and I get the knee through to the floor. You can see a bit of my tub hanging out, but that's fine. I also managed to get the underhook in this position. Now that I have the underhook, what I was trying to do is, as you can see, is swap sides so that my left thumb can go into the back of the gi and my head can transfer to the other side, pinching his head and his arm together in like a loop. And so from this position, you can see me working. I'm just trying to get that collar in. It's very difficult. I'm not worried necessarily about the guard because I have the underhook now. And so the objective becomes keep driving the opposite knee to the ground, cramp all of his space. He's pushing my head sideways, so I'm pushing my head in, and I'm trying to go forwards with my chest into the ground. The objective for me now is get the other underhook. And so we go on. Like I've watched this video already just to try and assess what I could do better. And you can see the difference between someone like me and Gordon Ryan with this movement here. Like it's a bit sloppy, and I need to work on my leg weaves, basically. And so I'm trying to use proper heavy pressure technique by allowing my belly to flop, and allowing myself to be like a wet, soggy blanket. And it's very difficult for the person underneath in that particular style of pressure technique. So you can see me trying to lift my leg up. He's messing with it at the back, so I kick it out, and I get an underhook because he tried to mess with the leg, because he was straight arm stiffing. So like his left arm was going straight on my leg, which allowed me space under the elbow. From here, I get the double unders, and now I can start climbing and being heavy. And again, you can see the leg weaves that I'm doing. They're a bit sloppy, you know. So that's the underhook. I get the underhooks together. The objective is head to floor, because my chest is doing work on his chin to push his head out the way, and now there's not much he can do, because the only thing he can do to move is unlock his guard to put his feet on the floor so he can bridge, but that opens up the guard and allows my feet to go to the floor. So he's kind of stuck trying to pull me back down, and at this point it's pretty well a win, you know, like. And so the foot comes in, he feels the off balance. I was off balance slightly. He pulls me back down, so I settle back down off the guard and start pushing forward again, just so I'm not risking anything. And so like I use the flat of my foot to push, and I just drag the other leg out, you know. And from here I take them out, and I don't lose the underhooks. And so usually the way my matches are pretty boring, to be honest with you, because my whole objective is get to mount with double unders and then either armbar or smother tap them. And so we get to this position where I'm on mount, and I'm just waiting because I want to cook him a little bit. But I think that for him, he was pretty beaten because he had some hard matches earlier on in the day, and it's his first comp at black belt, and he did really, really well in his previous matches. And so like he were a bit tired going into it, and I think he were a bit nervous fighting someone that much bigger than him, like, to be honest with you. And so at this point he didn't do anything, so I decided to go for a cheeky wrist lock. Then he defended it, as you can see. But as soon as he defended it, and I realized that he wasn't going to... I didn't feel him pulling his elbows down at all. He wasn't trying to defend this. So at this point, I just settled my forearms underneath his shoulders and pushed my belly into his face. And then you can see him struggling against it. I felt him trying to breathe through my fat, and he slapped me in the head to tap. And it's actually... I think you can actually hear it. Hang on.
2 points when you pass the guard, and you get 4 points if you get them out. And since you do it all at once, he gets 2 and 4. And I don't know why he gets 7.
I'm pretty sure you can hear him slap me.
Heavy!
It's like on my face. And so I'm not sure if the ref really knew what were going on to begin with, but you know, like we jump off straight away because we're not here to hurt anyone, you know. And so that's the whole match. I just got lucky with the pass and managed to get Tim out, and I managed to get the tap out with the smother tap. So my opponent was very, very good. I was very grateful that my training paid off and my ideas behind how to beat the Della Riva paid off. And I managed to win this one, and now we're on to the preps for the States, where I will reverse the guy that beat me last time, and so hopefully I'll learn some more. Anyway, guys, that's the whole video. I hope you enjoyed. It's a bit of a shorter analysis. This is the finals of the comp. So let me know what you thought, which matches you'd like to see next. I'm really looking forward to Nicky Ryan's brother versing the Australian Gordon Ryan in a little bit, and that's one I'll be looking at. But if you want to see anything else, I'm thinking about doing Lucas Lepre, because oh my goodness, he's so sexy. But other than that, yeah, if you enjoyed it, leave a comment down below. I like interacting with you. If you feel like joining the Discord, please do. It's fun to talk to you guys. I really appreciate it. And then, once again, thank you so much for all the support. I really like the fact that the YouTube channel is growing. Thank you, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye now.